Okay, so this video is designed to be the SharePoint 2013 intro video. This video is designed for those who are either new to SharePoint or maybe been working with SharePoint 2003, 2007, 2010, but new to 2013. What this video is really going to do is really just kind of give you a basic overview over a team site. And as you know, there are many different site types in SharePoint. The one that we're going to focus on in this video is a team site. Now, if you're a student of the class, you actually have your own playground team site, and some of the things that we do here, you should be able to follow along with your playground site. And towards the end, I will hand out assignments for those who are students, and then you will email me the link as we do with any other project, just to kind of turn in your assignment towards the end. Okay, so on the team site in 2013, things kind of look a little bit different. This is all out of the box layout. There's no customization here now with this particular site, but we will get to that very soon. Another thing about this site is hosted on Microsoft Office 365 SharePoint Online. So if you're installing or if you plan with a site that someone at your organization installed for you, some of the links may not apply. You may see a little bit a different setup than on your environment than what you see here in this video. And the last piece, as far as differences, the administrator action is only available, I believe those are only available for those who are assigned as administrators of your Office 365 site, which is a little bit different than a site collection admin. Okay, I think I covered all the bases. I'm using Internet Explorer. I think SharePoint 2013 is certified from a management perspective for all the other browsers, but I'm sticking with Internet Explorer because you need some ActiveX controls, some ActiveX functionality to do certain features. So my recommendation is to, even though it's not required, my recommendation is to use Internet Explorer as you're going through these exercises. For what we're going to cover today, that's not a big deal, but in the next module or a couple of modules in the future, that may apply. So that's one of the things to keep to avoid any errors or issues or things being disabled. That's one of the things that you want to take a look at. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. In this top bar, this blue bar here is really just kind of navigation items to here is your SkyDrive if you have that set up, a news feed, which is a new which is a feature that's been enhanced in SharePoint 2013 to really kind of show items that you track. It's kind of like tracking your actions as a user in SharePoint, and this kind of follows you regardless of what site collection you're in. There's the sites, which is the equivalent to the My Site, and here at the My Site you can actually manage and promote different sites, so it's almost like a bookmarking type deal. Every time you're on a site you can follow that site. So if we actually go back to this playground, this is going to be my playground, call it Team Trainer. But if you go back here and you click follow, this is just, it identifies this Team Trainer site and it attaches it to My Site. So My Site is almost, for those who are not familiar with the My Site terminology within SharePoint, look at it almost like your My Documents area when you're on your desktop Windows 7, Windows 8 machine. It's almost where your personal things and your personal tracking, bookmarks and things like that are kind of stored. So those are going to be your sites. Projects, again, this is probably something that you may not see. This site collection I'm working with is actually a project management site collection, project management server site collection for 2013. So this is kind of tie all my projects together. The other piece to this, okay, so let's take a look at the different navigation areas. So here you have the gear icon. This is where this replaced the site actions button. If you're familiar with 2010 or 2007, they just have a little icon here, no words, no anything like that. But if you click on it, you kind of see some of the very somewhat similar. They kind of renamed a little bit. Here the edit option to edit this page. If you drop it in web parts or changing properties, so on and so forth. If you're adding a page to your site, that option to add the page, and that dumps it right into the pages library. Add an app. This is what they're calling lists and libraries. anything that you would do in view all content, this is the equivalent to that, to add an app. Site contents is actually this is the replacement for view all content. This add an app just adds list libraries, different forms, images, libraries, so on and so forth, and also apps from the App Store. It gives you that option. Site contents is the one that replaces view all site content. Again, it actually looks very similar to add an app. The one piece that it adds in there is the ability to add in subsites, change the look. This is the one that actually toggles depending on which site type you're in. If you're in a publishing site, this one is the design manager, which allows you to upload a HTML file converted to a master page. Here, for change the look for team sites, all you can do is update themes and basic logos and things of that nature. This is actually something we're going to do towards the end of this video. Site settings, this is I think it's called the same in 2007. Site settings or view all site settings, the ability to edit different features and functionality of the site, activate features at the site collection level, the site level, term store, content types library, so on and so forth. Get it started is actually a nice help to allow you to get started here with SharePoint 2013. I encourage you to explore there. You can actually kind of learn a couple of things on your own if you don't want to follow this course guideline that's going to take you from general overview of SharePoint to really some detailed specific functionality as far as info path and so on and so forth. But if you want to go off on your own training, or the things that we cover, if you want more in depth or want to cover different areas of it, get started is a great place to start. And again, this is Office 365 preview settings. It's something that's unique only to my installation because I'm using the preview version of Project Server, and this just allows me to manage my Office 365 site. Now here on the left, one of the cool things that they added was the ability to add links right here in the navigation versus going into site settings, manage navigation, and then updating the left nav and then the top global navigation, so on and so forth. This actually becomes pretty handy. This is what they call a managed metadata or metadata navigation, where the navigation is actually stored in the term store, and it's really used to easily add links, and you can do sublinks and sub-level links, so on and so forth. I'm not sure if there is a depth to a limit on how deep you can have child links or grandchild links, so on and so forth. I think that limitation may be more so on your UI than it is on the system. This edit links at the top, again, allows you to add global navigation links that will appear at the top of each one of your sub sites or in this site collection. To get it started is out of the box piece. I actually started to play around with this. There is a way you can manage these and add your own get it started icons. I don't know if it's in hack, but I can show you that in the future video. Again, newsfeed, this is very similar to the functionality that you have on Facebook, where it actually just allows you to type in a simple message or a status or a post. You can actually have links to documents here in the news feed, and then anyone that's actually coming to the site will be able to see this. And I think it's a great way for the team, if this is a team site, if you can imagine yourself as part of a project team, everyone just kind of adding a quick message board or an update, a wall, if you will, just kind of different tidbits about the project or about your status. Again, this is going to be on the homepage to anyone that comes and visit this team site, so use it as such. Documents here, this is nothing but a list view web part. In this case, it's an app of the document library web part, and it functions the exact same way as the view list web part. Once you select it, you will notice here in the ribbon that you have access to upload files or create a document if there's a template attached to it, and as well as libraries to go in here and configure your document library views and update views, modify views, and associate workflows, so on and so forth. So that's really kind of like the general basic of a 2013 team site, really out of the box. So what I want to do now, let's kind of dive into some of these sub menus here under the gear. So let's go into add an app. Again, one of the key, and this is a terminology change where, these were just looked at, lists, your custom list, your libraries, your task list, site mailbox is something that's new. All these guys that already existed, here they're considered apps. And I think from a technical standpoint, without getting too detailed with the technology behind it, these are going to be more so applications within SharePoint, very similar to an app that you would use to download to your phone, your smartphone. And now SharePoint is now extending its functionality, and instead of using Codeplex to add, web parts or site actions or any functionality to your SharePoint site, they want to encompass those as an app. And one of the things that Microsoft has done was rewrite all of their lists and libraries that usually may have been server-side coding to more client-side coding, which is the base programming model behind an app. So these are apps, but for all intents and purposes, that's neither here or there on how this thing is structured in the back end. But just be aware of the terminology change. Functionality is very similar. I think you will see a more rich experience because most of this coding is going to be client side, meaning that it's ran on your browser. Some of the messaging is instant. Some components are very slow, and we can cover those in later modules, especially when you're doing bulk uploading through the browser versus Windows Explorer. Things to get a little bit slower from the client side piece, but again, I think I'm speaking too much on that, but that's neither here or there. But just, apps is where you would go to create a custom list, a custom library, task, so on and so forth. You also have this link here on the left. I mentioned that, one of the new things with SharePoint 2013 is the ability to go to an app store and add functionality to your site. This is the SharePoint store. It has very different apps on here. It's actually pretty light initially. SharePoint 2013, as of this video, 3/14/2013, it's partially released in the Office 365 site. Not all of the SharePoint 2010 versions have been upgraded to SharePoint 2013. So this, it's still new. And things in this arena, I suspect will grow very fast as more and more developers start to develop SharePoint apps and throw their app components out here. Okay, so let's go ahead back to the training site. Another thing, before we actually drill too deep, one of the things I will recommend on your playground site, and this is really for the students, is to go ahead and bookmark that, because one of the things that I've noticed with me playing around with Office 365 and SharePoint 2013 for the past 4 months, one of the things that I've noticed was that it's very easy to get lost as far as losing track to where you are, because behind this is a whole slew of site collections. So one of the things I would recommend is just go ahead and bookmark this. Bookmark your team, your playground site, in my case the team trainer. So that way, if you ever get real deep into something, or if you navigate in that app store long enough, you actually kind of lose track to where you came from. Okay, so we kind of looked at the apps. Let's take a look at site contents. And again, these are your same standard apps that you can create a library, create a custom list, so on and so forth. That still exists. And then also what's new here versus the other add an app link is the ability to create a sub-site. And now here you can go in here and create a sub-site, different types. Again, this is the enterprise version of SharePoint Online, so you may or may not see all of these options. If you're using a publishing site template as your playground, you definitely won't see a lot of these options, because the only sub-site you can create are publishing type sub-sites, so your options are going to be very limited. Okay, so let's get out of here. So there's your sub-sites. Let's take a look at site settings. Again, this is kind of like the administrator backdoor, because your playground site collection allows you full administrator rights. You will see a lot of things that, if you're using SharePoint in your organization and they have 2013, 9 times out of 10, you will never see the screen because they will have it locked down depending on your level of access. But here you have the ability to manage all your permissions to your site. You can also manage permissions to a particular app. You have all your galleries when we get into the next module, to where you actually start creating document libraries and SharePoint lists. You would get into using columns and site content types, so on and so forth. The administrative piece, if you want to change your time zone for your site collection, you have all the options there to change your time zone. If you want to change the language, maybe you're practicing French or Chinese and you want to work in that environment, feel free. This is obviously not going to translate everything for you, just some of the major labels within SharePoint. So you have that option, and then you have the sort order depending on calendar type, your work week, which is coming into play for workflows and things of that nature, time format, so on and so forth. So that's all your regional change settings here. You got other libraries and lists and RSS feeds, just a host of options. The only piece I really want to focus on is really three areas I want to focus on. And this is really trying to explain the concept of a site collection and a site. Now, with the site collection, this is going to be, if you can imagine a tree view, and then you have the top level tree, this would be the site collection. The site collection is going to be the very top. It's usually when you go to your site, that's where your main homepage lives. And then as you create subsites, you create a site underneath that site collection. So really, as the name kind of alludes to, a site collection is the top level site that is the collection of all the subsites underneath it. So your playground for the students has been set up where you are starting at the top level site. You're the administrator of that top level site, and you have the ability to create subsites. That becomes important when you look at your site collection administrative features. All of these features here controls everything that the top level site will be configured to do, as well as propagate it down to the sub-level subsites. So this is kind of like the main breaker switch, if you would, for your site collection. Now, if you're looking at the site collection features, I'm not going to go into each and every one of these. I actually don't know what each and every one of these do and how they have effect on you, but I'm sure as we go through setting up info path forms and setting up workflow, we will be in here turning some of these guys on, making sure they're activated. But these are the default settings. Everything that you see here in blue is what's activated by default. And as we kind of go through the other modules, we will be in here making sure that these features are activated. And that's at the site collection level. So if I click back on the browser, you have another set of breaker boxes, and this is going to be at the site level. And this is where, at that top level site, things get kind of blurred, because that top level site acts as a site collection as well as a site. And you can have managed features for this particular site. As you create subsites, you will see this same list of features that you can activate at the subsite level. Say, for example, if you're creating a document management subsite, there are certain features for the document management feature to kick on that needs to be activated. And you would do this here at the site level versus the site collection level. Okay? I think I confused you enough with that, but just kind of stick with it, and we'll cover this more and more. And I think this will become even more apparent as we create subsites. Okay, now let's go into some exercises here. Now, if you're the student, this is actually an activity that you want to partake in, and then once this is completed, you want to send me a URL to your site showing that the look and feel has been updated. So the first thing we want to do is go into the title and description. So the team trainer, this is the name of the site, and you can kind of see this throughout. The one thing that this will do, this will update the title for the site and all the other pages that reference the site title, but it will not change the URL to the site. That's one of the things to be aware of. And actually, sometimes you don't want it to change the URL to your site because you may have other people bookmarking your site. And if you change the title and if that also changed the URL, then all those bookmarks will be broken. So it's actually a good thing that it only changes the title on the site. Okay, so what I want to change this to, let's just call this Deshaun's Playground. All right. And you can put apostrophes in there and all this other good stuff. And I didn't spell features correctly. Got that all figured out. Okay, so now you can update the logo. Let's get rid of this out of the box logo. So you have two options. You can look at it from SharePoint, meaning that you can, if you already have a logo uploaded to a library, say a documents library, or some type of style library, you can highlight it. You can pull it from the library. If you don't, and you just have one on your computer, as I do, you can just browse your computer and find a logo. Let's see, I'm gonna cheat here. I already have a logo created. And if you don't have a logo created, you probably want to search the internet and make one up. I think that will be great. All right, so this description text, this is the text when sometimes you have this logo and you see that team trainer, that's the site title. You can put a description on there and say this is SoftNet Innovations training site. Let's say team site for 2013. Okay, very simple, nothing earth-shattering there. Okay, so I got my title updated and all this other good stuff. All right, so now let's go into quick launch. Quick launch controls the left navigation here. This is what they consider the quick launch, and you can create subheadings and so on and so forth. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna create a subheading. What's the address? Let me just call it site favorites. Oh, it's gonna force me to put in a URL, which is fine. Let me go ahead and fix this up. And click OK. All right, so that's a new heading. And you can modify the order if you want things to be in a particular order. Like if I want all my documents right under home, a notebook, let's put that last, and site contents should be there. Yeah, that looks good. And obviously as I click OK, all this gets updated and the refresh is very minimum. Again, this is actually one of the powers of client-side programming versus server-side programming. I think most of the interaction between your browser and the SharePoint server that's sitting in the back end becomes more real-time and instantaneous without long page refreshes, so on and so forth. Okay, so now let's go back to site settings. We did the quick launch, and then we have the top link bar, which controls this piece here. And again, this is just a second option on how to control these links. As I mentioned before, you can easily click edit links and modify the top link here. So let's actually try that. So here it's telling me I can drag and drop a link. I'm not going to trust that. Let's go ahead and click add link. What I want to name it, I want to link to Yahoo, because I always have to be in contact with what's going on there at Yahoo, making sure we can still work from home. And we want all these other companies getting bright ideas. Okay, so you have the Yahoo link here, and then if I click refresh, and it pops up here in my sub navigation. Again, just showing how all this stuff is interconnected. And as SharePoint, if you're used to SharePoint, you understand and know that there are a million ways to do one thing, and that's just another example of that. And then you have the tree view, and now let's go into change the look. changing the look. This is very similar to what you had in previous versions of SharePoint. Allows you to select the theme and then kind of select a color scheme to kind of match that theme. So let's go here with the breeze. Okay, and now you have a background image for the breeze. You can choose a color palette. The first one is going to be your background color, so if you want things a little bit darker, that would be that. The second one is going to be your link coloring, and then the third one is just going to be your general colors that may be used in several different ways. So let's go ahead with this sea green, or this, I guess they call it the teal. And here's another thing that's new. Actually, this one doesn't have it. I thought these were using some of the web fonts, and I'm sure they're not using the Google web fonts, you know, Microsoft being Microsoft, and that whole feud between Google. But here you can just update this, and if you want to change the background, so you have two options. You can remove it all together, and then your background color becomes, you know, versus opaque or with the opposite color, it's going to be solid. But if you want to change that and add your own, you have the freedom of doing that. So let's go into the documents, or whatever you keep your files saved off. Then I go up here, and then there we go. There's the SP Classroom logo, and that'll be a nice background. So actually, I'm not a big fan of dark backgrounds. Let's just go with this one. Okay, a little bit, lighten it up a little bit. Okay, so first thing you do is you click try it out, and what this is going to do is show you a preview. And if everything looks fine and dandy, then in the big screen, you can go ahead and commit the changes and then have that saved off for you. Okay, yeah, it's got the fancy font there. Looks like we're playing, which is great for a playground. Logo, good. Yes, let's keep it. Okay, so we're all set. We are all set, my friend. Okay, so let's go back. So you can always click the logo to go back to your team site. All right, so everything is now got the wacky font going on. If you don't want this, and this is another guided way. As I mentioned before, if you hit the gear and you go to getting started, you get a bunch of help text and a lot of information that will help you through learning more about SharePoint. That's one way. And then these guides here, as far as getting started, are really designed to help guide you on different key elements of your team site, so you can actually go through there as well. Again, so what from the students, for one of the things I would like you to do is to update a logo. And if you don't have a logo, just go and do a quick Google search and find a simple logo, one that's light. And then I want you to add links to your header or global navigation. I also want you to add custom links to your left navigation, and then change the theme to your site. Now, when you send me the link to your site, you actually want to click on your logo and send me the home link to your team site, and then you'll get authorized for the next module. Okay, for everyone else, this has been a pleasure, and hopefully this is a high-level overview of SharePoint 2013. You found some value in here. It just, again, we're just scratching the surface with this, and the next module we'll dig a little bit deeper. Okay, take care and talk to you soon.